Hey, how's it going, guys? It's been a long time since I made a video, but I had a problem happen that I thought was pretty simple to fix, so figured I'd go ahead and film it and share it with you guys, and hopefully it'll be useful to a few of you. This is for the front speaker on a 2008 Honda Civic SI sedan. My speaker went out a couple weeks ago, so I went ahead and ordered the part. I actually just changed it out, and it was a pretty simple fix. So let's take a look at the parts you're going to need for the job. First thing is the speaker itself, and I ordered this off HondaPartsDeals.com. I don't remember how much it costs, but I think it was under $40 with shipping, which was cheaper than what my dealership offered. A look at the equipment you're going to be using. So we have a basic Phillips screwdriver, couple dental picks, a trim removal tool that I wrapped in electrical tape just to make sure it doesn't damage the plastic, and a clip, and a flashlight. I also have a website that I go to for most of my repairs that I do on the car. This is a electronic version of the OEM Honda Service Manual for the Civic. And this is the web address that I'm using for this particular job. But this website is great. You can actually find OEM Honda service manuals for pretty much any job, you know, fuel pump. I use this to change out my air conditioner, basic service maintenance. And the good thing is they also include pictures here, so it kind of gives you a visual to follow while going through the instructions, and then you can do the job with confidence knowing that this is the same kind of manual, more or less, that a certified Honda technician would use on your car. Alright, so look at what we're working with. This is the driver's door, and we're going to be changing a speaker that's located right behind here. Now, to get to the speaker, we actually have to remove the entire door trim. When I first started this job, I thought it was as simple as, you know, prying this cover off and taking the speaker out. But this plastic is actually molded into this plastic here. It's just for show. It looks like it's just a cover that can be removed, but it's molded on there. So we need to remove the whole door. So the first step is to go to your door handle. And you're going to find a plastic cover that covers these two holes here. It's in the shape of this cavity here. You're going to use a small dental pick to pry that plastic cap off, and then you're going to have access to these two holes. The hole on the left, the yellow one, is going to be a standard screw. You can use your Phillips to remove that. The hole on the right is going to be for one of these plastic push fasteners. When it's installed originally, it's going to look like this. It's going to look flat. So what I did is I put a dental pick, kind of like this, along the edge, and I just pried that small center portion out. And the minute you push that center portion out, the whole plastic cap comes off. So it's pretty simple. Okay, once you're done there, you're going to go to the control unit on the door, and you're going to find a small crevice located here in the back. You can take your dental pick, and you're going to lift up on this, and that's going to basically allow you to access this whole panel. And you work your fingers all the way around the whole panel, and once you've loosened everything, you're going to pull in the rear direction. So you're going to pull this way to the back, and then you're going to lift up. Okay, so flipping this over, and this one actually is pre-loosened, so when you do this, it's going to look a little bit different. Let's put it back in the normal position. So when you remove this, you're going to have a couple things connected to that control unit. This clip on the front, you're going to squeeze on the back and the front. You're going to pop it out. The one here in the back is a little bit trickier. It has this clip. So you're basically going to push down on this darker gray clip, and you're just going to wedge this thing out. Be patient with it. This took me a few minutes to get loose. It was stuck on there pretty good, but you don't want to be grabbing it by the wires and pulling it, obviously. Alright, once you're done with that, we can kind of tuck that away. And you can take your screwdriver again, and we're going to go to this screw here on the bottom. Okay, and you're going to remove that screw. So while I'm doing that, I forgot to mention, anytime you deal with electricals, I always recommend, just unplugging the battery. Just in case something happens, at least you know that the electric signal is completely cut off from whatever electronics you're working with here. Okay, so we got that off. And we're going to basically remove that. Alright, give me 1 second here. Alright, so once you're done with that, you're going to take your trim tool, or your trim removal tool. And the instructions recommend that you start in the bottom left corner of the door panel. And you basically want to stick this pry tool into an area between the plastic and the metal door. And once you get it in there, okay, kind of like that, you just start working your way around the whole door panel. I recommend going from here all the way around, following it up, and then going back to where you started, and then following up into here. You don't need to do it across the entire window because this is actually clamped on like this. So you just need to undo the left, the bottom, and the right side. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and run this around. Alright, and so the bottom part of that is pretty much removed. So now what we do is we go to the door, and you're going to lift up in this direction. Okay. Okay, so once you lift up, that's kind of how it looks. I'm doing this with one hand, so I can't really give you guys a great shot, but you kind of get the idea here that I've removed the door panel. Okay, so once you remove that, you're going to go ahead and lift this up carefully, and be sure not to drop this because there are two connections in the back that we don't want to rip. So we're going to expose this slowly, go into the back here, and then now you're going to find the control part of your door handle on the reverse side. So that's the door handle. We're going to go behind the trim here. And we're going to release a few tabs here in the back. So I'm going to point you out the plastic tabs to push. You're going to push on one white tab here on the bottom, and you're going to push on 1 and 2 tabs here on the back, and that's going to free the control panel from the door. What you want to be careful of are these two connections. The connection here, which is for your door handle, that's what opens your door, and the small stainless steel braided cable here, which is in charge of controlling your lock. So when you push your door lock from the inside, it moves this mechanism, which helps to lock both the driver door and the rest of the 3 other doors. Okay, so let me go ahead and loosen this and I'll show you what it looks like. Okay, so now we're back in the front of the panel, and correction to my last comment about the buttons, you're actually pushing on 3 black buttons, not 3 white buttons. So these are the black buttons here. Okay, I apologize for the lighting, but you're going to push on these from the inside of the door panel, and that's going to allow you to free the door handle from the rest of the trimming. Then you're going to slide this door handle inside. Okay. And now you've basically freed this part. You're going to gently put this to the side here. And then go ahead and put your door trim somewhere that's relatively clean, because you don't want to get it dirty. And then I'm going to take my clip here, just because I don't like things to be hanging, and I'm going to attach this to the door. Alright, so that's basically what you're left with. We've removed that, and we've now gained access to the middle compartment of the door. So if we look at the bottom right here, you can see that we now have access to the speaker. So let's go ahead and remove that. And it's as easy as 1 screw here on the top. And you're going to go ahead and lift up and pull out. Lift up and pull out. And there's our speaker here in the back. So that's what the connection looks like. So to release the speaker, you're going to squeeze the right tab here along with the left tab, and you're going to squeeze in this direction and pull up, and that's going to separate this clip from the rest of the speaker. When I originally did this, it was pretty difficult to get that clip off, and of course you need to be delicate because you don't want to damage the plastic tab. So my recommendation to you is maybe get 2 paper clips and wedge the paper clips, one here on the side to kind of free that tab up like that, and then wedge another one on the side to free that one up, and then just slowly pull side to side, left to right, until the tab comes out. It should come out pretty easily. I also noticed the wire here that goes inside the door was exposed from here to here, so I went ahead and wrapped that in brand new electrical tape, just in case moisture or any kind of debris comes in. I want to make sure these wires are nice and covered. So once you've done that, go ahead and take your new speaker, plug it back in here, and when it comes to reinstalling, look for these 2 holes at the bottom, 1 and 2. You're going to stick this clip and that clip inside of it. Okay, just kind of like that. You're going to put the speaker in. And then you're going to push down in this direction, because remember we pulled up. Okay. Perfect. Go ahead and take your bolt. I always like to hand tighten things first before using power, in case some of you are using power. That way you don't have the risk of cross-threading. And then we can tighten this back up. Okay. And then I like to go around speaker and just check my seals, make sure that everything is nice and flush with the door panel, make sure there's no wires being caught in here, and it looks like we have a solid connection again. So the speaker at this point is basically installed. And from here we just do everything in reverse. The reason I want to go over this again rather than just cut the video here is reinstalling this part gets a little bit tricky. So I'm going to pause the video here and show you why. Alright, so let's get our door mechanism again, and we'll put it on this pad here. And let's flip this pad over to see what we're dealing with here. So when I took this off originally, I noticed that this plastic shell was open like this, and that this part was pretty loose. And I noticed that there were threads in here, and I saw that there were also threads inside the white piece there. So I figured this had to be connected back before we can reinstall the door handle. So the trick to doing this is do this before you actually put this whole mechanism back on the door. It's a ton easier to do. And what you're gonna do what we're going to do is we're going to find the threading on the gray part, match it with the threading on the white. It's a little hard to do one-handed. Okay, kind of like that. And then we're going to close this white part here, so let me show you. Okay, so now we've kind of secured it there, and then you're going to push a little bit hard. Okay, did you hear that? There was a click there. And that click confirms that now we're locked into place. If you don't hear that click, or you fail to connect this, a couple things are going to happen. When you reinstall this mechanism back onto the door trim over there, it's going to pop back out, and your lock is no longer going to work. So before I reinstall this, let's test the lock. And you can hear that when I push this back, all my locks work. And that tells me that the mechanism is intact and everything's ready to go. As far as the top component goes for the door handle, that stays in place, so you don't need to touch that at all. Okay, now that we've done that, everything is pretty easy. Let's go ahead and put this back into the door trim. Okay, so I have my door trim here that I'm shaking with my leg, and I have my door handle unit here. I'm going to slide it back through the hole here. Okay, and now it's going to come out like that. And then I'm going to reach inside my other compartment here and grab those two wires that we connected at the very beginning. Give me a second here. Okay, and here are the two wires that I disconnected from the control unit earlier. And the first thing you're going to do is mount the top of the door trim. So as I mentioned earlier, the top here is kind of like a upside down trough. And you're going to hook that onto the metal door frame itself. Okay, so you're going to kind of align it. Okay, and then you just set it down like that. Okay, and set that one down too. Now before we push it in, I'm going to make sure all my connections are here. Alright, so we're looking pretty good. Got my door handle here, got my two wires here, and it looks like everything is sitting pretty flush here on this side. We're going to check this other side here. Things are looking pretty good. Okay, and you're going to go to the top here, and you're just going to lightly tap this all the way down. So now that's seated. Then we're going to go to the door handle. Let's push this guy back in. Okay, so I just push this back in, and we're looking pretty good with our door handle. We still got our 2 wires here. Okay, let's go ahead and take care of that small fastener that we took out here. And that's going to be the silver one. Okay, and we're going to screw this back in. You can also hold the door with your knee while doing this so that things aren't bouncing around all over the place. And a nice little tip that I picked up from working is if you want to make sure that you don't strip any screws, right when it starts to get tight, you know, don't use your whole hand. If it starts to get tight, meaning you're towards the end, just use 2 fingers to turn, because that lessens the amount of torque that you're going to put on the screw and decreases the chance that you're going to go ahead and strip that screw. Not very applicable to a job like this, but there have been a couple times in the engine that I've stripped a screw, and this technique seems to do a good job of securing the fastener without having you risk over tightening it. Alright, so our door panel looks good. Let's go ahead and start pushing in the rest of this on the sides here. Okay, then I like to feel around the edges, make sure that all the seams are good. Top looks good. Also forgot to mention, should have said this at the beginning, your window needs to be up for this job. Okay, last step, let's go ahead and reconnect the control unit. Before you reconnect, take a look at the front and make sure that this plastic tab is back in here. Okay, if you don't have that plastic tab on you, make sure you check back inside the door crevice. It might have fallen through. It might have fallen on the floor somewhere. And we're going to go ahead and reconnect everything in reverse. Okay, so I'm going to put down the camera real quick while I do this. Alright, so we're all connected back in. When you clip in both of these clips, you're going to hear a nice clicking sound that tells you it's securely in place. To put this back in, you're going to push it to the left a little bit, to the rear, just so you can get that tongue underneath the plastic, because it hooks like that. Let me see if I can get a picture of that for you. There you go. That black piece protruding right there is the tongue that needs to get underneath the lip of that right there. Okay. Alright, then you're going to push it forward, and then push it down. And you could hear that click there, that tells me that I'm secure. There's no screws that need to be secured into here, so we know that we're good here. Okay, then let's go ahead to the 2 screws here on the door. And I'm going to test the lock again. You can hear that the car is locking itself, so things are going well. Of course, if you had disconnected your battery like I told you to at the beginning, I guess you can't really hear the locks locking, so that's kind of a useless point for me to make. But in case you do this without disconnecting your battery and the electronics are working, just check for this sound. That tells you that everything is functioning properly here and that the mechanics behind the door have been installed properly. Alright, let's go ahead and reinstall the 2 parts here. Alright, I wanted to give a quick shot of what that push tab looks like. So you can see that push tab on the left. Sorry, the lighting's really bad. There we go. So that's how the push tab looks when it's loose, and then to secure it, you just push that down. And you'll hear a clicking sound again. Okay, now we're secure. We've put our Wait for this thing to focus. Our fastener in silver there on the left, our push tab on the right. If you have the plastic cover that covers these two fasteners, go ahead and put that back on. And you're pretty much done. Alright, so pretty simple job. You can go ahead and turn the car back on and test the speaker, and hopefully that works for you guys. If you have any questions, go ahead and shoot me some below, and I'll see what I can do about answering them. But yeah, pretty simple job. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Take care.